Eugeria Live, brought to you by Griswold Home Care. Eugeria is a Greek word meaning health of body and mind in aging individuals. Eugeria Live is a weekly show celebrating the heroes that contribute to the Eugeria of our elderly and disabled population. Now, joining us in the studio are your hosts, John Butler and Sam Grass.
Good afternoon. This is Sam Grass, and welcome to another broadcast of Eugeria Live, where we address issues that affect the happiness and well-being in our senior population. Joining me today as co-host is John Butler. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, Sam. It's good to see you. Welcome, everybody. Griswold Home Care has been providing consistently excellent care all over the Atlanta metro area for 28 years and counting. And one of the things we do is we try to bring information about resources to the senior care industry and to family members that are going through the process of aging loved ones and all the things that they need to deal with. And joining us today in consistency with that is Roger Kurth, the owner of Senior Transition Services. And they've been in business quite a while. And I've actually had a personal experience with Roger and his team. They are the consummate professionals. They really know what it takes to successfully help people transition from where they are usually to a smaller place. So there's a lot of issues involved in that. So Roger, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Let's start with a quick question about everybody's on their mind these days is about the COVID virus and all the things that impacts us. And frankly, it impacts every aspect of our lives. What is it that is different today about the business that you do in transitioning people with the COVID in place versus what it was like before that?
Well, with the COVID in place, our biggest focus is trying to make sure we can make a safe transition for those seniors, not only the seniors, but also the communities we're working with. We want to make sure that when we move someone into a community, we don't have a chance of bringing COVID in there, which will then affect their entire population. We want to make sure that the family we're working with also has a safe transition of that loved one and themselves do not get COVID. So we've had to really adjust how we do business. We started back in February when we first learned about COVID from one of our National Association meetings, was taking the right steps to make sure we could safely do this. And we've put into place a lot of special conditions to make sure we are hopefully the safest senior moving company in Atlanta.
I know that family members sometimes have a sense of what they think it takes to transition mom or dad from the home they've been in for 30 or 40 years to a smaller apartment or maybe an independent living community. But what really are the things they ought to consider? What do they need to consider? What is it that you do?
What we try to do is we take the stress out of making that transition out of a house that the parent may have lived in for 40 years into this much smaller community and much smaller apartment, trying to take the most treasured possessions with them so they can feel like they're at home, even though they've maybe downsized to an 800 square foot apartment from a 3,000 square foot house. Everyone is stressed during this COVID time. Everyone is upset about the change in their own lifestyle, the things they've had to change in their lives. And then all of a sudden mom is thrown into a need to be in a senior community for her own health or safety. And to try and take some of that stress away of having to make that move is very important to us. Those moves have actually changed dramatically in the last year from working with a lot of people who are transitioning out of a full house into a community and then dealing with what's not moving to really most people are just trying to get transitioned into that safer environment and not even thinking about that next step of having the house to deal with as well. So we're doing a lot of smaller moves, but trying to get that resident from their house into the community so that when they get released from rehab, they can come in and be at home, even though it's a much smaller, different environment that they started from.
So the items that are beyond what they can move, do you help people or guide them on how to dispose of those things in a proper way? How do you do that?
That has changed because of coronavirus as well, because prior to the coronavirus, we could easily help someone liquidate what was worth liquidating, donate things that were not worth liquidating but had some value to somebody out there, trash a lot of stuff, and even handle shredding. To the point we have one client that had his entire doctor practice was moved into, the files were moved into his basement, and we had to shred 1,900 pounds of shredding in order to take care of those classified important documents from all of his clients. But more so now because it's harder to liquidate things because the market's dried up on resale. We've had trouble with getting things donated because a lot of charities have kind of closed up shop, although they're opening up over the last month or so. But it really has changed how we do things. Our first priority is always getting that senior into that safe place that's going to be able to take care of them and provide the services and keep them healthy and extend their life versus just dealing with trying to get them someplace real quick. We want to make sure that they're in the right place and that we can get them there as safely and stressless as possible.
I have seen from what I've seen you do, you don't just move stuff, you actually put things in place so that the typically senior can experience home when they first move into the new place. Can you describe that process a little bit?
Yeah, we take pride in actually moving people so that they can literally wake up at their current residence, or if they're in rehab, their residence that they were living in, we literally move the things into their new place so they can then go to bed and it feels just like home. So we handle everything from packing all the right stuff that needs to go into the new community, into the new closets, the right kind of pictures that are going to make them feel like they're at home. We'll hang the pictures back up over the bed so they feel like they're at home when they go into their bedroom. Their dresser, their nightstand, their TV entertainment center, even their clutter will look just like their normal clutter when they get to the new place. We want to make it as consistent as possible so they feel like, yeah, I'm not at my house, but I feel like I'm still at home because I have the things that are comfortable and I can relate to around me. And we get a little grief sometimes for taking the clutter, but if the senior wants to have her clutter, we want her to have it. We had a client yesterday we moved. We were told he had a few pieces of furniture and a little bit of stuff to pack, and the little bit of stuff to pack at the end of the day was about 25 boxes of stuff to pack. And we got to the new place and it was a smaller apartment, and our crew did the best they could to set up his stuff, his desk, his clutter. So it was as similar as what he had seen it when he went to the rehab place a month ago. He got transitioned today, and I'm curious to find out tomorrow when I talk to him how he felt when he got there, because we did our best to make it as similar as possible and hopefully stress-free as possible for him to get transitioned from the rehab facility to his new apartment.
I tell you, if being able to create clutter is a prerequisite to work for you, Roger, I'm your man.
I'm sure.
We find enough clutter where we're already at. We don't need your help with getting more clutter, Sam, but we do want to create that same environment. We've had people that have had some cognitive challenges that we were hired to move from one community or from one apartment to a different apartment within the same community. We've done the move. 3 hours later, the senior comes in and, you know, they've been talking about the move, but they've been talking about the move literally every day for a week, starting the conversation again every morning. We're going to move you in a few days. And then the next morning, hey, we're going to move you in a few days. And they never remembered they were moving. And then all of a sudden on move day, they came and said, well, you said you were going to move me today and you didn't move me. I'm in the same place. But we had actually done the entire move, rehung the pictures, you know, replaced the half-filled water glass over here next to the TV set, and everything looked the same. The senior had no idea we had moved them, and we got them into that better environment where they had the different kind of care level that they needed.
That's a great story.
That's got to be a great testimony to your business right there.
That's actually one of the things I was going to ask you is I know there's a lot of prep work before the move actually happens, and I'm sure there's follow-up work that has to be done, but for the resident themselves, from the time that you decide that this is the day, this is the time we're going to make this transition, roughly how much time elapses between that time and the time they can move in typically, if there is a typical answer?
We typically will show up at a client's apartment or their house at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they'll be totally set up and living there by 3 or 4 that afternoon. Right now, unfortunately, the time that we get as far as notice that we need to make this move, you know, the daughter may call on a Thursday and say, well, they're going to discharge mom from the hospital next Wednesday. Can we move her stuff on Tuesday, or even move her stuff on Wednesday? So we're getting a week or less notice right now from the families or the senior themselves saying they need to move. Because of coronavirus, people aren't making elective moves, they're making necessary moves. So that's really kind of changed how we do things. We used to do probably 70% of our moves were done because we had to do them for the client's health and safety. And the other 30% were people choosing to move to a better living environment for them, but they didn't need to make that move. Now it's probably 95% are necessary moves, and they're almost all done last minute.
So Roger, you've been doing this for quite a while now and have a very successful business. What about your business are you most proud of, or what sets you apart, would you say, from other companies that do something similar?
I think what I'm most proud of is that we've assembled a team of employees and a way of doing our work that is different than most other companies out there. When I started this company almost 11 years ago, the typical company doing this kind of work was managing the work. But what our company does is we actually do most of the work. We are a licensed mover in the state of Georgia. We have to follow the state guidelines with regards to moves, but When we line up a job for a client, we tell them we're going to be there at 9 o'clock with our staff. It's going to be our truck. We're going to be the ones packing the boxes, getting everything ready, getting the truck loaded with the boxes and furniture, driving it to the new place, getting it in there, unpacking and setting it up. So one crew will do 95% of our jobs. So they know from start to finish, it's their responsibility to make it perfect. So when the truck is late, it's because we had a problem with the truck, not because we're waiting on someone else to show up with a truck. So we have much more control. I think we do a better job because of that. Right now, we're getting 1 or 2 phone calls a week from families going, wow, that was so easy. It was stress-free. I can't believe you guys did it so quickly. Mom is settled, and we're so glad we used you guys to do it. We're doing about 600 jobs a year, and we appreciate and love the people that are recommending us, and also appreciate the fact that we're trusted by so many people to take care of their loved ones and trying to do a good job for them.
That's a great testament. That's terrific. So when a family member of a loved one that's facing a transition, when they hear this, what would be the one tip that you think would be most important that they ought to consider about making that decision about who to bring in to help them with that process?
I think the biggest thing that most people make a mistake on, that I want people to really focus on if they can, is the pre-planning. Like everything else we do in life, if you spend more time planning it than actually executing, it's going to probably come off pretty well. But we unfortunately have a lot of people that don't understand the space their family member may be moving into. They want to take more furniture than what's going to fit. They want to take 12 feet of hanging clothes, but there's only a 6-foot closet. So the more prep work and really getting ready for it will make it go much smoother, with less challenge. We're not stuck with things that won't fit that have to go back to the house. So really planning it out is very critical, and picking the right company that can do it. A lot of communities right now are relying on us to do many of their moves because they know we've been doing coronavirus moving for quite a while. We're certified by our national association as a coronavirus safe moving company. We're also A+ accredited. So we really take this seriously. We go the extra step of doing things that most other companies like ours don't do. And because we only move seniors, we have less exposure to the general public, where we may get a chance to get infected with one of our staff that will then transmit it around. So we only move seniors, and we love what we're doing.
Well, thank you so much, Roger. That was great information, and I appreciate you being with us and share that with us and our audience. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Great, John. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too.
Eugeria Live is brought to you by Griswold Home Care. View this show again on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, or our website at www.eugerialive.com.